Hi everybody and welcome back. This is another reading video with Mr. Bauer. Today we're going to take a look at point of view, and I've got some questions on the right that are going to help guide our thinking. The first one we're going to be thinking about is who is the narrator of this story? I've got two stories. I'm going to share the beginning pages of each with you, and we're going to try to figure out who the narrator is. We're going to figure out, is this story told in first person, second person, or third person? What evidence we have, and how would this story be different if the author used a different point of view? So the first one is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, written by Mark Twain. We're just going to take a look at the first paragraph, and you're going to be able to figure out almost immediately who this narrator is. All right, here we go. Chapter 1. You don't know about me without you've read the book by my name of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, but that ain't no matter. That book was made by Mr. Mark Twain, and he told the truth mainly. There was things which he stretched. But mainly he told the truth. That is nothing. I never seen anybody but lied one time or another without it was my Aunt Polly, or the widow, or maybe Mary. Aunt Polly, Tom's Aunt Polly that is, and Mary and the widow Douglas is all told about in that book, which is mostly a true book with some stretchers, as I said before. Now the way this book winds up is this. Tom and me found the money that the robbers hid in the cave, and it made us rich. We got $6,000 apiece, all gold. It was an awful sight of money when it was all piled up. Well, Judge Thatcher, he took it and put it out at interest and fetched us $1 a day apiece. All the year round, more than a body could tell what to do with. The widow Douglas, she took from me for her son and allowed she would civilize me. But it was rough living in the house all the time, considering how dismal, regular, and decent the widow was in all her ways. So when I couldn't stand it no longer, I lit out. I got into my old rags and my sugar bog shed again, and I was free and satisfied. All right, so I probably don't have the expression that would do justice to this, but so taking a look at the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and it seems like the narrator's talking directly from his mind, right? And he's talking like these are the things that happened to him. Now this is fictional, but we get the feeling that the main character is the one that's telling the story. So the narrator in the story is Huckleberry Finn. Since the author, that is Mark Twain, since the author is using words like, right here you see, I never seen anybody but lied, or Tom and me found the money, or we got $6,000 apiece. All of that, since that's the character talking, all of that's telling us that the story is told in first person. And the evidence I just saw, we had, I never seen anybody but lied. As I said before, Tom and me, we got. It's first person because we're continuously being told by the character that's in the story. Now, if the story was a little bit different, it was told from, let's say, a third person point of view, then we probably wouldn't get the brutal honesty that we get from Huckleberry Finn. He's very like honest and very open about things that are happening in his life. So if that were to happen, if the narrator was telling the story, maybe he or she might leave out all of that roughness there is to Huckleberry Finn. Or maybe we would be able to hear, like, for example, the widow Douglas. Maybe we'd hear a little bit more about what's happening in her life that causes her to act in a certain way. So just a quick example of how to show you how to figure out point of view. That was by Huckleberry Finn. The other book I want to share with you now is called Treasure Island. This is a pretty amazing book. It's split up into a couple of big sections. Into parts here, we've got the old Buccaneer, the Sea Cook, and on and on. And so if you're interested in pirates and X marks the spot and our mateys and all this, a lot of the pirate culture, a lot of the Pirates of the Caribbean and those kinds of things came from this very book. So we'll take a look at the old Sea Dog and the Admiral Benbow. All right, and this time we will use these 4 questions. We'll type some things out too. All right, here we go. See if you can figure out where the point of view is here. Squire Trelawney, Dr. Livesey, and the rest of these gentlemen having asked me to write down the whole particulars about Treasure Island from the beginning to the end, keeping nothing back but the bearings of the island, and that only because there's still treasure not yet lifted. I take up my pen in the year of grace 17, and go back to the time when my father kept the Admiral Benbow Inn, and the brown old seaman with the saber cut first took up his lodging under our roof. I remember him as if it were yesterday, as he came plodding to the inn door, his sea chest following behind him in a hand barrow, a tall, strong, heavy, nut-brown man, his tarry pigtail falling over the shoulder of his soiled blue coat, his hands ragged and scarred with black broken nails, and the saber cut across one cheek, a dirty, livid white. I remember him looking around the cove and whistling to himself as he did so, and then breaking out in that old sea song that he sang so often afterwards. 15 men on a dead man's chest, yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum. In the high old tottering voice that seemed to have been tuned and broken at the capstan bars. Then he rapped on the door with a bit of stick like a handspike that he carried, and when my father appeared, called roughly for a glass of rum. This, when it was brought to him, he drank slowly like a connoisseur, lingering in the taste and still looking about him at the cliffs up and up at our signboard. "This is a good cove," he said at length. "A pleasant city grop shop. Much company, mate?" My father told him no, very little company. The more was the pity. All right, so we'll stop there. We're thinking about the narrator, and right away we get the sense that in this story, the narrator's not saying things like, "Once upon a time there was a boy named Squire Trelawney," or "Once upon a time there was a play." No, this book starts right away, and it tells us right here that so we've got Squire Trelawney, Dr. Livesey, the rest of these gentlemen. We've got some people that is saying, "Having asked me to write down the whole peculiars." So there's some character that's being asked to write down this story, and that's where Treasure Island comes about. So if we were to continue reading, we'd realize that this was a child that was being told about this. So in the first pages, we are told that this story is written by someone who is being told by other gentlemen to record the narrator's adventure. And then later we realize that the narrator is actually a young boy. All right, so if you're interested in reading this book, it's you can check this link out right up here. It's actually this book's a couple hundred years old, but it's pretty important piece of literature. So sorry to spoil the narrator for you. It's actually a young boy. If we're taking a look at the story told in first person, second person, third person, so remember that first person saying things like I, me, my, us, we. Second person is when it's saying things like you. It's very, it's like you choose your own adventure kind of thing. And then third person is more of like he, she, they, them. And in this story right here, since it says the rest of these gentlemen having asked me to write down the whole peculiars, that immediately thinks that a character in this story is the one that is telling the story. All right, so it continues by saying, I remember him. So now the character in the story is telling us about this guy that came in. I remember him. A little bit later, I remember him. Let's see. Just trying to see. Oh, I take up my pen in the year of grace 1700 something or other. So this story is told in first person. And then we can use examples like I take up my pen. That's an example. And then let's see. I remember him as if it were yesterday. And I remember him looking da 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 da. All right, so we get this idea. We'll put one more here too. Let's put this up at the top because this is pretty obvious right away here. these gentlemen having asked me to write down blah, blah, blah. Okay? So this story is very interesting because now we get the feeling, now we get the narration coming from a young boy. And this young boy is dealing with these pirates and these ships and all of these experiences that a child usually wouldn't have. So if this story was told in a different way, it might be a little bit, I don't want to say the word boring, but it might be less interesting. So we could say if let's say if a pirate was telling the story instead of the young boy, the story might be a bit rougher or more crude. If, let's see, if a narrator who wasn't in the story, remember that's third person, if a narrator who wasn't in the story was telling the story, we probably wouldn't see the same honesty that we see through this child's eyes, since a narrator might leave those young thoughts and the feeling of innocence out of this story. Okay? Now, you're going to see this all the time when you read. All pieces of nonfiction have a narrator, and figuring out who the narrator is, how the narrator is telling the story, and then always keeping in mind why that's important. Why is the narrator telling the story in the way that he or she is telling it? Why is that important, and how does that make the story better? Or what could be added to the story that we might not hear because the narrator's not telling it from a certain point of view? So anyway, thanks for joining me today. It's always fun to take a look at some of the classics. And if you have any questions, you can drop something in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to help you guys out. And we will see you in the next video. Thanks so much.